Miguel Cotto's scheduled February 25th comeback fight against James Kirkland is apparently off. Rock Nation, who are the promoter of Miguel Cotto, say that James Kirkland has apparently suffered a fractured nose. There were also rumors that he's suffered some type of cut, so the sparring was obviously very intense. Who knows what the truth is, what the reality is about why Kirkland has apparently pulled out. As far as I know, there's no official word from Kirkland, so we have to see about that. But as what the major boxing news sources are reporting at the moment is that the fight is off and Kirkland has some type of injury. What is going to be the reaction of the majority of fans? I would say the casual fans are going to be disappointed. A lot of the hardcore fans are going to be shrugging their shoulders like, so what? Miguel Cotto is levels above James Kirkland, you would have to imagine. He has won at a far higher level. And even though James Kirkland is significantly bigger naturally, he's been taken out by less than stellar opposition before. If you remember when Ishida knocked him out in one round. He's always had punch resistance problems, James Kirkland. That's been one of his big issues. And also the fact that he's got a poor defense and really no type of boxing brain. His whole strategy is just to come forward and throw a lot of punches until he wears you down, because he's not a particularly big one-punch knockout artist. He has power there, obviously, and he's very physically strong. And when he's with Van Wolf, at least, he appears to have good stamina. But beyond that, there's not really much there with James Kirkland. There's not much of a boxing brain. This is a man who has admitted that he doesn't really watch boxing. He's not really a guy that's very knowledgeable about the sport. He spent a lot of time in prison and whatnot. And he took up boxing, kind of just a way to get off the streets. He never really had any love for the sport. It's just a job to him, it seems. And that's reflected, I think, in his style and in his performances, because he's a very rudimentary fighter. He's brave. I'm not taking nothing away from the guy in terms of his heart. He's brave. He's strong. He comes to fight always. But was he ever really particularly good? In my view, no. So me personally, him pulling out of the Miguel Cotto fight, I'm one of those people shrugging my shoulders, to be honest. It's like, whatever. But then again, since Miguel Cotto is coming to the end of his career, you have to imagine, and he's also coming off a very long layoff, what other opponent would you expect him to fight coming off such a long time out of the ring? You can't expect him to go back in at the very, very highest level. So I guess it was kind of understandable. But be that as it may, it still wasn't, for me at least, a particularly interesting fight. It's a fight which I saw Miguel Cotto, even at this stage of his career, winning. Although, I mean, you never know. Perhaps James Kirkland could replicate what Antonio Margarito did in the first Miguel Cotto fight. And people can talk about hand wraps all they want. The hand wraps were never proved in the first Cotto Margarito fight. They were never proved. I think it was as much, if there was any hand wraps at all, and I'm talking about illegal wraps, plaster of Paris wraps. If there was anything like that at all, I think it was more a case of Cotto not really being ready for Margarito's pressure and just a bad style for Miguel Cotto, I think. In the rematch, one of the things that Cotto did so well was actually tie Margarito up and push him back against the ropes. And that gave Miguel Cotto a breather. Whereas in the first fight, he wasn't doing that. He was just moving around. And he eventually got tired and Margarito started hitting him. So perhaps there is some type of chance that Kirkland would have replicated something similar. Because we know Kirkland, we saw him in the Angulo fight. He took a hell of a beating from Angulo in the first round, but he just outlasted him. He kept coming forward. He climbed off the canvas and he kept throwing. And eventually he broke Alfredo Angulo. And that's when Angulo was still quite highly regarded in the light middleweight division, or super welterweight division as they call it these days. So maybe, you might give Kirkland a slight chance there against the fading Miguel Cotto possibly. But still, the fight's off anyway, or at least it may be postponed. So let me know how you feel about it. Maybe I'm selling this fight short. Maybe it would have actually been entertaining. Maybe it would have been more competitive than than I'm giving it credit for. Let me know what you feel in the comment section below. Agree or disagree. It's all good as long as we keep it respectful. All right? It's happening. I'm out.